Okay, guys, welcome to our Regency Fashion broadcast.
Julio. All right, so we were to talk about what sort of inferences can you draw about the society based off of the Regency fashion. That's a lot. I don't know. They just seem very professional looking. Like no matter where they went, they always had that attire that they can just be walking out and about, but then also look professional all at the same time. Because like even with the men's outfits, they don't have like a very casual outfit that they would wear. Like even for the women, it does look casual because it's something they could just slip on, but at the same time, it looks presentable almost.
I think that like they're very like fancy and professional compared to what we are now. I think compared to how fashion was before that style came in, they're kind of more relaxed and I guess less ostentatious and a little bit. They're almost kind of like feeling a little bit from the generation before them. Yeah.
So, the article that she had us read doesn't really talk much about the history, so I kind of looked it up, and there's like the Napoleon Wars, there's like the French Revolution, and the American Revolution. So, it mentioned how fashion was really neoclassical, which means it's influenced by Greek culture. So when you look at the Greek style of dress, like their empire waisted gowns, like in their, like in their paintings and in their art, Greek art, that's how it looks, and it looks really like relaxed, like you said, like in like Roman and Greek style of dress. And I was thinking like maybe they're dressing like the Greeks because they're starting to like think like the Greeks, like they want democracy with like the revolutionists all like are concerned about democracy. They're concerned about middle class. They're not trying to be as like grumpy. They're trying to be more sensible. I don't know, but I really have no idea what it means like for body type. Does that make sense? Like, are women supposed to have slim during this era? Are they supposed to have like bigger bellies? Or like I don't know. But yeah, from the historical point of view, I think it has to do with the democracy.
Okay, do you have anything else to add?
I was gonna say, which brings us to the next question. What sort of meaning can we attach to changes in women's length and what shape their body should have? So the fact that hairstyles were simple. Anybody have thoughts on this?
Well, it's kind of interesting because their dresses are a little more flowy. So I'm not like 100% sure if like they can identify like, oh, all of the women have this particular body shape. But I feel like one feature that probably has been accentuated a little bit more in this style of clothing is their boobs, like to be honest. Like everything else seems to like accentuate like that area, but like the flow of the dress it makes it seem like all of the women have it doesn't like because it doesn't define that waist area a lot, it gives more, it doesn't give that ideal like waist size for these type of women. I don't know, that's just what it looks like in the style of clothing. It's not defined about like the weight, how big their waist is, and or how tiny their waist is. It just focuses more on the upper part of the body.
I like that. I think before it said something about how the styles of like the previous era were really stiff. Like those big like the back is so emphasized and all of the stuff on the dress just make like the butt kind of like the focal point, and it was just like a really tall, straight big butt, and then now it's just like like more natural, flowy, like you said.
Yeah, focus on those particular features as much. I mean, it could be because part of the reason why is because of the war that was going on, so they needed to have a little bit more flowiness to flee or something like that. But also, I guess they moved away from that sort of time of everything has to be so fine detail.
And they still did kind of have like fine details, just in more practical ways.
Yeah.
On their sleeves. No. Okay. Anything else?
Okay. Okay, shall we go on to the next one?
Yeah.
Okay. What does this have to do with the way women were thought of or thought about themselves? I guess with the style of clothing they had, what did they think about themselves and others?
Well, I feel like that's kind of a timeless question because you could answer it probably the exact same way as you would have answered it back then, because obviously in the reading we can see that exactly what they wore had such a correlation to their status in society, and obviously the way other people view you, like it's reality that the way other people view you is going to influence how you feel about yourself. So if you're able to dress up to the standards of the times, then you might have a little bit more confidence than you would otherwise.
I like that. Going off of that,
Yeah,
I think it's just a way to show that you're a little more like progressive. Like if you're still wearing the old styles, you're not as because it's like a period that was characterized just by the fashion itself. Like so much new fashion, so many trends coming out, and people are like trying to just move away from food in a sense because they had the Industrial Revolution and they had all these revolutions, like wars, and a new king. I don't know. Yeah, I like how the men were like. I like how the men were like not so ruffly, but they're still like so particular about their clothes. Like that one thing about how the guy took 4 hours to get dressed. So then I guess quality started to matter because like if you want to do stuff and go places, you need to like look nice, but not have to try so hard. I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Like just be more practical in general.
Yeah, I think that's kind of interesting how you pick that up with like the men's clothing versus the women's clothing. You have those finer details than the women had in those days. Because it seems like their dresses were very plain. Like, yes, maybe for different events it was a little bit more detailed, but it wasn't as detailed as the men's clothing, it seemed like.
I think that the clothing styles kind of also go with like the rising of the middle class during this time. Like it's not as ostentatious and as crazy as like the generation before them. So like they're not the upper class, but they do still like dress nicely and distinguish themselves from like the lower classes, if that makes sense. So they're still like dressing nice, but they're separating themselves kind of from the upper and the lower.
Yeah, it mentioned like more sleek design instead of like big like I don't know what they are, man. That's crazy.
What was that?
It's mentioned something about like having more sleek designs.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of like the big poofy, I don't know, rococo style wear, and like I guess some people were, I don't know, I guess it's like making a statement, like going off of what Brooke says, like that you're not that upper class because maybe people don't want to be in the upper class. I mean, like part of that upper class because it's just a risk. Like no one can, no one can work their way up to that class. You have to be born into it. You have to be born as a king or born as, you know, whatever rich family. And so instead of trying to obtain that, you just create a new upper class. I don't know how to explain it, but kind of like, yeah, just highlighting that middle class.
Right. Yeah.
Sweet. On to the next one. What is the significance of the empire waist?
The only thing I can think of is the way that it looks like the Greek,
Like the what?
like the Greeks.
The Greek style. Yeah.
Yeah. You know how they kind of like had the robe and then they felt it at their,
Yeah.
and then of course that represents democracy, Greek philosophy.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Right. On to the next one.
Yeah. I think we kind of covered that one with like what it said about the
Yeah, what Betty
body.
said.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some of these questions are a little bit repetitive, but oh well. When did men become simpler in their dress? And why did some men become obsessed with having well-cut clothes? I think it kind of goes back to what you were saying about like they're upper class but not being upper class, I guess. I think that's like one way, like especially with becoming obsessed with well-cut clothes. What the? Oh, I'm sorry. Work is calling me. They shouldn't be calling me. Sorry.
Okay. What's the next question? Why did how do these things relate to such issues of relationships between men and women, or the fact that the middle class gaining more power in England? We kind of talked about the middle class. We didn't really talk about the relationship between men and women.
Yeah.
I didn't hear what the question was.
It says, how do these things relate to such issues as relationships between men and women, or the fact that the middle class is gaining more power in England?
Oh.
What do you guys think about the relationship between men and women and fashion?
So it kind of, I didn't get a sense of like that relationship, like wise.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't
It
feel
just
like
seemed to really focus on like the fashionable aspect of it.
What was that?
the relationship between men and women.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what does the fashion tell us about the relationship between
Oh,
men?
yeah. What did Nicole say?
Oh,
Well,
I was just saying there didn't seem to be like a lot of question about like the relationship between the two. It just really seemed like there was a lot that had to do with just the
Sorry.
fashion style in a sense. I didn't get a sense of like how it pertained um to the to like the man and the woman as far as being together or something like that.
Right. Yeah.
one, yeah, you're right. There's like not a lot of information, but one thing I can think of is like more men are going to war. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
It's like there's like a lot of political tension between like France, whatever countries are going in war. So like their dress kind of looks like military fashion, you know? Like the way they dress with their boots. It's not like high heels like in the Rococo era. They're not wearing high heels and like full on ruffles on their sleeves. They're like clean, like orderly, like
Right.
polished.
That's true. That's an interesting tie.
Like they're able to move more freely with their clothes. And then the fact that they're so particular about it too has something to do. I don't know, has like the attitude of like military order. Like I have to look on point. No.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and probably attracted a lot of the ladies because of that. But I think it also could have like the plainness of women. It kind of like also, I think it kind of also exposed their facial expressions a little bit more. Like it attracted more to their face than it did to their particular parts of the body.
That's so true. Like
Mm-hmm.
like in Pride and Prejudice, when that I don't even remember all the characters' names, but when that one sister like fell in love with the military dude, he was like he came and all the girls were like swooning over him. I don't even know if I'm telling the story right, but yeah. And then the girls are like more simple, so that the men can get to know them by speaking to them, by like observing their physical features instead of just like, oh, I'm dressed all like perfect and high class. You can't really tell a woman's character much by her dress, but a little bit more by her, her actual physical beauty.
Yeah.
I don't know. I hope this will help with what is the prompt? I think that was the last question. So
I think so. This was just so interesting just to like see their different fashion. But yeah, it kind of just reminded me a lot of the Jane Austen movies and just that time period.
Yeah.
Of that was like really a time period of love, and I like the fact that she reminded me of Jane Austen because it really reminds us about because if you remember the different Jane Austen books, it wasn't the beauty, the physical beauty that the men were attracted to. It was really their personality, like especially with Pride and Prejudice with Mr. Darcy and Jane. It wasn't the fact that she had this amazing physical beauty like her sister was. It was really the personality that really clicked for them.
Yeah.
So, and I think maybe fashion also
bring that up and because Jane Austen wrote, I think she wrote Pride and Prejudice during the Regency era.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes a lot of sense.
So interesting.
Okay, I think we have like 15 more minutes.
Yeah. When I was reading it, I was like, how are we going to fill 30 minutes with this?
Yeah, it's very
Yeah,
very little to go
very
on.
interesting.
What's the prompt?
It says,
We do all of the prompts.
make a statement of how Regency Fashion says something about the culture and or values of England at the time. So what kind of values do we have so far? To help Nicole write this paper. I think like practicality is one of them.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, kind of like I can't remember who was saying it, but how their outfits drew more attention to their faces than to their bodies. That you can almost say that that's like the beginning of like an empowerment feminist era right there, because they're starting to show that there's something inside. Women are more than just what they produce or what they look like on the outside.
I love that.
That's interesting.
Yeah, and Jane Austen's book is like proof, like of
Mm-hmm.
the birth of feminism.
Yeah.
So, so feminism. We have like meritocracy, like working your way up instead of being born into success. Like you can work your way up. The military, nationalism, like military
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
ish. Um,
But I think it also, like you were saying about how you were all talking about the rise of the middle class, like the middle class is a little bit more defined, and it kind of gives that value of, yes, I'm middle class, but that doesn't mean I can't strive for more things within that class.
Yeah.
so what else? I don't know. I don't know what you want to write about, Nicole. I think there's a lot.
So, what you want to say about the connection between fashion and values, then with evidence referring to at least 5 details from the reading, at least 2, which should be from the pictures, including the readings. Okay.
Wow. Okay.
5 details from the reading.
5 details of the meeting. Fashion. A little bit more.
How many more minutes do we have?
I don't know. We started at like 6:15, right? Or 6:10.
Something like that. Probably started at like 6:10 or something like that.
Yeah, probably 6:10.
It doesn't show me how much time. Okay, so you have the military style dress,
Mm-hmm.
the Greek
For the
democracy.
men.
You have the focus on middle class. You have the focus on actual, like, individual beauty and intellect. What's one more thing we talked about? It's like 4 points so far. Oh, being practical. Or
Okay, I guess what's our thesis? Let's start with a statement of what you want to say about the connections between fashions and value. So during the 18th century, the plainness and their professional style brought showed the respect for the revolution, middle class standing out, and women showing more than their bodies. Okay, so this is what I have. During the 18th century, the plainists and their professional style showed the respect for the revolution, middle class standing out, and women showing more than their body types.
I think that's perfect.
Okay.
Sweet.
Okay. Good.
All right. Is there anything else we have to go over for this?
Nope.
Okay. And then I just need the link later.
Put it on the group chat. When's our next group assignment?
Cool. Our next group assignment.
Next Wednesday?
I think so. Let me double check.
Yeah.
On Monday.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
Next week, Monday.
I think we have 3 next week.
Next week. So January 29th is the next assignment, and that's the introduction to the Victorian era.
Oh, we have
Yeah.
Wait, is the Browning a group assignment?
And then right after that, we have the Victorian fashion. So we
Wow.
have
That's a
the
good one,
introduction to the Victorian era, and then 2 days later, it's the Victorian fashion.
Yeah.
So when do you guys
And it's the 29th.
Did everybody fill out the spreadsheet thing?
Oh, sorry. I always forget. I'm gonna do that
It's
right
okay.
when I hang up. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Dang
So
it.
it
Okay.
looks like the 3 of us, we have so Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday are super busy, but we have room on Mondays and Fridays. So if you guys want to do one on Friday
Okay.
for the one that's
I
due
can do it on
Monday. Okay.
Yep.
So the one Friday that's due Monday, and then on Monday we can do the one for Wednesday. Does that make sense?
Okay, yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what time on Monday?
what time are you
Sorry,
free
what
on
time on
Monday?
Friday? I'm so sorry. Mixing up my days.
On
Oh, what time
Friday,
on Friday?
I'm free anytime after 2.
Me too.
Yeah, me too.
I'm free anytime before 6:30.
Okay, so
Before
should we do it at
6:30? At what time?
Yeah, like
3?
Okay.
Or
Whoever's
3 too.
doing it has enough time to get it done. Or well, do Monday. So yeah.
Yeah, and I think
Okay.
I'm the only one who hasn't done it yet, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So at
Um,
3 on Friday we'll meet. We'll do this again.
3? Okay. Awesome.